Okay, so you're going.
Okay, thank you. All right, class. We're ready to start the session. So we're going to walk through the genogram, okay? So I will ask questions and then you will respond as openly as you can.
Sure.
Okay? So tell me about where you rank in your family sibling system.
Biologically, I'm an only child.
Okay?
My cousins were raised with me as my brother and sister, and I'm the youngest in terms of that.
Okay. So you're the only child. Tell me your age, Darlene.
28.
28. Okay. So parents, mom, age?
63.
63. Dad?
59.
How long have they been married?
They got married in 1976.
76.
Yeah.
How many years? 37 years? And no other brothers or sisters?
No, biologically, no.
Okay. Have your mother been married? Has your mother been married before?
No.
Okay, no previous marriage?
No.
Dad?
No. There was a second family going on, but legally, my mother was the only person he was ever married to.
So, talk about the second family.
When I was 13, he moved from, he had a job in a different city, and he was gone a couple days a week, and then it turned into a couple more days a week, and then it turned into full weeks being gone, and then he came back and he said that he was just going to take off, and then we found out that, or we drove up there to the city he moved to, and it turned out he had a wife and kids, and a whole different setup that had been simultaneously going on that we didn't know about.
When you were 13?
Yes.
Okay, so it had been going on for how long?
I don't know exactly. More than 2 years.
So you were 11-ish, 10-ish?
Yes, ish. But at the time, nobody knew that he was the only one that knew about that then.
How many children were from this relationship?
One.
So one guy, son, brother,
I don't know.
Male, female. So one offspring. Okay. So what happened to this relationship?
With the other family?
Mm-hmm.
When I was 21, so 8 years or so later, he came back, and it was over. I didn't get the full story on it. My mother did, but I don't know. There's no contact with any of them at all. So.
Okay, I see. You mentioned that you were raised with 2 cousins?
Yes.
Like from mother's side, father's side?
Mother's side.
Okay, who are these cousins?
My mother's youngest sister's children.
Okay. How many?
2, a boy and a girl. My sister is 34, and my brother is 31. And my parents had them when they were just babies. Like, my aunt had them and kind of just gave them to my parents. So when I was born, they were already brother and sister. Yeah. So
she was 31.
He was 31. My sister's 34.
Okay, 34. Okay. So your mother has how many siblings?
Biologically, she has 16 total. And then when she was a teenager, the older 6 of them were given up for adoption.
Her older 6?
Yeah, her included. Her and the oldest 6 of the children were given up for adoption, and then she moved into a house that had 4 additional kids, so 10. She went from a house of 16 kids to a house of 10 kids. So I'm not sure how you'd want to.
Okay. So she was the youngest of the 6.
Yes.
And then there's her younger sister. How old is she?
57.
All right, still alive.
Yes.
Okay. Is she still married to this guy, or they never got married?
We're talking about my aunt. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Your aunt's husband.
Never got married. Never. Two different fathers. Never was married to either one of them.
Okay. So did they live together, or she just had a child with them?
You know, I wasn't around. I don't know. There was never like dad for those two. My dad was their dad. Those guys weren't in the picture at all. So
okay.
I don't know who they are at all.
Okay. You just know these 2 cousins.
Correct.
Okay.
And the aunt. I do know my aunt.
Okay. All right. So tell me about your dad's family. He is the eldest, youngest?
He is the second youngest.
Of?
4. I'm sorry, 5. One of them died as a child.
From one set of parents?
Yes.
So he is the
second youngest.
So he has another brother or sister?
A younger brother. And then 2 older sisters and the eldest died very young. I'm not sure exactly how old.
And then one other brother?
Sister.
So 3 sisters.
2 sisters, and the deceased was male.
Oh, okay. So the 3rd child died at a young age?
The eldest. The male was the eldest. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. And he died childhood sometime.
Okay. Do you know what he died of?
No. Polio keeps coming to mind, but that's not right. Something along those lines. So it's something that.
All right. So all these aunts or uncles are still alive?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Tell me more about your relationship with your mother growing up.
My mother was the one that was primarily around.
Mm-hmm.
She worked nights, so she was sleeping, and we'd always have to constantly wake her up. But she was a little overprotective and very education driven. That was, and I was kind of a sickly kid, and I was born with a stomach disorder, so she was super protective of me growing up.
Talk about, so she worked nights
Mm-hmm.
to help put food on the table? Oh.
You know, she preferred it. She preferred, she was a lab tech. She had the option of working days or nights. It was easier for her to keep up with 3 kids and be room mom and do all the stuff she had to do and come to all the different plays and all that kind of stuff and get us to our activities if she was working at night.
Mm-hmm. So you felt like she was overprotective?
Yes.
Talk about that. Besides the physical aspect of making sure you're okay, talk a little bit about overprotective.
She very much liked to be involved in every decision, every single decision, no matter how big or small that had to do with my life. If it didn't go by her, she wasn't really okay. So mentally overprotective.
Mm-hmm. Give an example. If
I was very competitive with piano, and if there was a certain competition that I didn't want to play in for whatever reason, if the reason wasn't okay with her, I had to do it. There wasn't a choice about it.
Mm-hmm.
So whether I wanted to or not, it was good for me, so I would do it.
So you didn't have much say.
Right.
How did it impact you when she was that influential in all your decisions? She tried to influence your decision.
Well, when I was really young, I think I agreed with her about most things, and I liked to, I guess, keep her happy, make her proud. And then I guess it was about the time my dad left where everything changed, and we weren't really seeing eye to eye on things, and that's when it would start to clash and cause arguments. But that not till teenage years with that, because I liked music, I liked school, so that was the two things she pushed me in, so it was okay.
Until teenage years?
Yes.
And then what did you start doing that made the conflict, that contributed to the conflict?
I didn't start doing, it was still music, it was still school, it was just on my terms. Where I went to a college prep, all-girls high school, you got to make your own schedule. Private piano was something I could take. I took 11 classes as a freshman, and my mom, that was the first time she actually said I was doing too much. But I felt like it wasn't too much. It wasn't too much. I can do it, and I did, and I got good grades. But I wasn't sleeping and trying to stay up and things like that. And so she ended up actually pulling me out of that school and putting me in a regular public school because of just. So I didn't change. I think I got like obsessive with it. I didn't change activities or stop doing it. I think she saw me. I think it scared her a little bit.
So it scared her because you were.
I was just not. I don't know. I was falling apart, I guess, but not. I was distracting myself, I guess. That's
because there wasn't balance?
I don't know.
So she pulled you out of that prep school?
Yes.
And put you in the public school?
Put me in public school, and then that didn't actually happen until the third semester of my sophomore year, and it turned out I had taken so many classes as a freshman in that first semester that I only needed one more semester and I could graduate. So I finished high school when I was 16 in the public school system because everything was done. So, and then I was going to go to the University of Rochester because I had a full paid scholarship for music, but then I couldn't because of I got super sick again, and there was hospitalization after hospitalization, and she wouldn't let me go. So,
how did it affect you when you had an opportunity to go?
I really wanted to go.
Talk about that.
I think it was just a way to just get out and get away from it all, and then I couldn't. So
get away from what?
The house. I guess my mom, kind of. Yeah.
Talk about that.
It was just a chance to not have to think for myself, I think.
So you were ready to start doing things for yourself independently rather than be under her constant influence?
Yes.
What else were you wanting to escape from?
I think my brain, just my own thoughts. And it was just, I wanted everything to just be new and to not have to think about the life that it was. So.
Expand on that a little bit for me.
Which part?
Think about the life and you know, wanted something new. Talk about that piece. What was going on in this that was hard and challenging?
Well, I think when my dad left, everything. My brother left at the same time. My sister left at the same time. Not anything, and different reasons for everybody. I changed schools, and I think I just wanted, and I guess all those changes were negative, and so I was looking at leaving as a new change, a positive kind of thing. Just that would be different, but not in the way everything else was different.
So different for you emotionally.
Yes.
What were you hoping to get in the new environment?
Freedom.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
Peace, I guess. Yeah, just to well, and I think a part of me wanted to, because I was still very much, I think, obsessive about school and about practicing, and I think that I wanted to be able to keep doing that. And my mom at that point, she was, because I had the piano was in my bedroom, so I could stay up. I would stay up all night and just practice and practice because she couldn't hear it because the way the house was set up, but I wasn't sleeping. I was not sleeping at all, and so I think I wanted to be able to get back into what I was doing to finish. I just wanted to be done.
So to have closure for you.
Yeah.
Because you started a journey and you wanted to complete that journey.
Yes.
And so you were yanked away, and so there was no closure. So you felt what? Like what?
Stuck. I felt stuck, like I was never going to, like it was always going to be like it was. It wasn't going to get any different.
It was always going to be like it was, meaning that what?
Meaning that I would always be living with my mom. I would always not be living and just doing my own thing. So I guess I felt like if I didn't get out of the city, I couldn't get away from her, which turned out to kind of be correct a little bit.
So you're still under her wings.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't live with her, but yeah.
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 So you've wanted to get away since age 16-ish.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. So for over 10 years. I see. Talk a little bit about that dream that just vanished.
I didn't do anything for 6 months. I didn't go to school or really do anything, and then I ended up going to UTSA, and I guess I always felt, I don't want to say like, I just thought that I should have been somewhere else the whole time that I was there, and I bounced around from major to major, and I ended up really liking it, and I stayed there, and I'm glad. I don't regret it, but I wasn't crazy about it. It just seemed really easy after the kind of work I was doing in high school. But then when I got my job, I think things started to turn around. When I started teaching, it was because I had only been in college for 2 years when I started teaching.
So the challenge was there.
Yes.
So there was more joy in that you were challenged.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
When I started working at the academy, I got my own studio. Like it was, I worked for the academy, but they didn't put rules on me. I could teach how I wanted to, and I liked that. Like it was my thing.
So it was like you could design it.
Yes.
And so that felt
good.
Okay.
Yeah, it felt new, I think, too. Yeah.
So it felt new. Talk about new. Just help me understand new.
Kind of exciting, in a sense of, I guess at this time, a lot of things. School at this time wasn't fun, so this was something that was fun again because it was learning. I felt like I was actually getting better at something again.
So there was more joy. The joy was coming back. The excitement was coming back.
Yeah.
So at 15, there was a lot of challenge, and your mom felt like you were consumed by it, and then she started to take you away from that, pull you from there, and then you just floated for a few years until you got into the academy, and then there was another level of challenge.
Yes, definitely.
Talk about, you said you had stomach you were sickly, had a lot of stomach problems?
I have a cyclical vomiting syndrome, which is abdominal migraine. So I would, when I was really young, I would dry heave or vomit for every 10 minutes for 72 hours at a time. And I'd have to be in the emergency room, and it would happen every 2 weeks for 3 days. And we would just schedule it in emergency room for hydration. It's a pretty, and then it's very uncommon for someone to have this past the age of 7. And I was one of the people that did. So I started to go to a lot of studies and clinical trials and experimental things all over the country. So I'd be missing like months of school and to do these these things, yeah. And it would go dormant for a few years, and then it would come back all of a sudden. And it got really bad again at 18. About 18 through about 21. It was tough, but I had to register with Student Disability Services, and it was just ridiculous trying to do it. But I was able to make it through, and I kept my GPA up. So,
what age did that start?
As a baby.
Baby, like infant baby?
Yeah, coming out of the womb, vomiting. Yeah, definitely. But it went dormant at 7, came back at 11, left at 13, came back at 17, and it's not too much of an issue right now. And they're thinking that I'm growing out of it. That's what they say. So,
how was your mom protective of you?
She wouldn't let me go anywhere. As far as, like, there were a couple of friends whose parents knew about it. They knew what to do if I were to get sick. I was allowed to hang out with them, and that was it. But if it was just, wanting to go to a birthday party or something, if she didn't go, I couldn't go, and just in case. Even though it was on it, and I didn't get it because if it wasn't those 3 days, I was fine. There was no sign of anything being wrong. So it just didn't seem logical to me.
So she hovered around you a lot.
Yes.
How did that feel?
It didn't feel like hovering until I was 11, and this doctor suggested that my mother was poisoning me, and that, and then I kind of thought, and I didn't believe it, and I walked out of the doctor's office, but I think I started to just notice, well, other moms aren't necessarily like this. I never thought she was poisoning me. It didn't have anything to do with her, but he just put the idea in my head that maybe, the behavior wasn't right, I think.
So basically she was being too overprotective and did not allow you room to be a child.
Yeah.
That kind of poisoning.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't even allowed to play outside, like in the neighborhood. So.
So at what age were you allowed to play outside?
When I started public school, I guess when I was 16, she had a fear of public school children. That's why I was in private school up until she pulled me out. And I remember my first day when I started at Madison, she dropped me off and watch out for guns. Watch out for people pulling guns out of lockers. That's what she told me on my first day. So I was a bit paranoid. Yeah, a little bit.
So her fear is that she would lose you, or she was highly protected.
Yeah, because everybody else left her, I guess.
How did you feel when you realized that she was so protective of you? How did you feel?
Like she was crazy. Like, I think for the first time it was, you start to realize, oh, well, not everybody is like this. I think that's how it felt. And I didn't like thinking that, but I think it, so.
So when you didn't like thinking, but you think it, and how did it impact you?
It made me not, I stopped doing everything she said, I think, at that point.
Uh-huh. So at that point you started having independent thoughts?
Yes.
And what age was that?
I think maybe like 11 or 12, possibly. I really, right around the time the doctor said that she was poisoning me, I really started to kind of think about things around that time. Yeah, and well, and see, that was also, I think, when she started to think my dad was messing around on her, and she was always accusing him of things, and we didn't believe her. and I think that went on to, oh, well, I don't want to say he made us think she was crazy. He was trying so hard to convince her that she was wrong, that in the process, me and my brother and sister started to believe him over her, I think. So.
I see. Talk about your mother's. So there was a lot of enmeshment, a lot of overprotectiveness. Talk about her push for education. What do you mean?
School was everything. School was before, it didn't matter, before family, before church, school came first. So for me anyway, it wasn't ever, for my brother, he wasn't academically gifted. So for him, it wasn't school, it was work ethic. She was very much planning for adulthood. So it was like when she saw what a kid could excel in, that's what they were going to do. And I tested okay young, and I had, my sister played piano, and the piano teacher tested me when I was 3, and I had relative pitch when I was 3, and they trained me for perfect pitch by the time I was 4, so music was going to kind of just be my thing, and there was a piano in the house, and, you know, they paid for it, so somebody was going to use it. So it was, for me, it was music and school. And for my sister, it was school. But for my brother, it wasn't. It was just, he had hard work. Not so much because he was a boy, just because he struggled in school. So they didn't force that as much with him.
So what meaning did she give to education?
Did she give?
What meaning was assigned to education?
That was the only thing that took up all the time.
Like, what did it mean? Freedom? Did it mean getting out of
success? Yeah.
So it was success. What other meaning?
And being accomplishment. I guess that just that's what kids do. Kids go to school to learn how to work hard, to learn how to know how to work hard as an adult. So she was preparing us, I think.
Okay. Talk about what happened that these 6 had to be given up to another family.
My grandmother, they had a farm, and I don't know all of the details. They said that the living conditions were not acceptable for the number of kids that were living there. So they had to either give up the younger ones that were, I think, babies, I'm pretty sure, toddlers, or the older ones. And my grandmother knew this woman in California, and this was in West Virginia, who took kids. So she sent them all, the older group there, and her older brothers and sisters were 17 or so, about to kind of go off on their own already, so they weren't there that long. It was my mom and the youngest sister, and then one in between, I think, that were there in California the longest.
I see. So she left at what age?
Probably 14, maybe 13, 14.
13, 14.
Yeah.
So she and this sister?
And that sister and one other sister in between them.
Okay. So they went from Virginia and went to live in California?
Correct.
Did she talk much about that experience?
No, she didn't. My aunt does.
What did you learn about that experience?
It wasn't good. There was a gun that my grandmother had involved, where I don't exactly remember because this was a few years ago. The biological mother at some point went to California with the gun, threatening to take the kids back, and they went back, but then they ended up going back to California. And that was because one of the kids, I don't know if it was my mom or who, called and said that the California grandmother was abusive, which she was. She was pretty rough on them. So, and my mom didn't tell me this. My aunt told me that.
Uh-huh. So she went through a lot of turmoil growing up.
Yes.
Uh-huh. So how did that shape her as a person?
She likes to not let people see who she is.
Okay, talk about that.
Me, even. I know a lot of things about her past that she denies because my aunt tells me, or my dad tells me.
Uh-huh.
She used to do a lot of drugs. She was a real flower child in the 70s, and she smoked cigarettes for a lot of years. And when she's brought that up to me, it was, I've never done drugs. I know what marijuana smells like because I was in the Army in 1985, and we had to deal with hippies. Like, she has this whole image that she wants people to see of her. Or like when my dad left, she didn't want anybody to know. She would make me lie and say, like, he's out of town or something like that. For years, we would do that. And it just, she doesn't, and I think, in response to that, I have absolutely no problem with people knowing private stuff about me. I don't like to hide things at all. So
it's kind of swung you to the other extreme.
Yes, absolutely.
Where you're very transparent.
Yes.
How did it feel to have to protect the image of the family?
I didn't like that. I didn't like having to lie to my friends. So, especially because, like my best friend, she lived in my neighborhood. She knew what was going on. She knew my dad was not there. And even with that, and she knew, like, I couldn't talk about it too. So, but I didn't like it. It was tough. And I think that's partly why I focused so much on school and music during that time, because I couldn't really do or show what was really going on. So,
what was going
on? Everything was different. My mom was, at this time, she was all messed up. She was just depressed, and she wasn't, I think I went from having way too much protection to nobody being there at all.
So that felt like?
Lonely.
Talk about loneliness.
Stay busy. Stay busy so you can not feel it, I guess. I don't know.
So you use your piano as an escape?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Talk about the loneliness. What was it like to have your father be gone?
He was the practical one in a house of crazy. So that, it was like the logic left, in a sense.
And so the logic piece, the logic voice left, and you felt?
Like I had to do it, I guess. Like I was the logical one when I really wasn't, I think, but definitely more logical than Mom at the time, so.
How did that feel that you were entrusted and you had to move up to be the logical voice now?
I don't know how it felt, because I don't think I realized it was happening when it was happening. So I think it just felt lonely overall.
So very lonely?
Yeah.
And alone?
Yeah. Well, and the fact that I couldn't tell anybody about it, that kind of added to it.
And the fact that you had to basically guard this environment.
Yeah.
Emotionally. And live a lie. So what was that experience like?
I don't know. That was, I think I had to grow up all of a sudden without somebody kind of showing me how to do it.
Okay. So you had to grow up. Okay, tell me what you hear. There are some pieces that are big grief pieces. So tell me, what were some of the losses that you experienced?
My dad.
Uh-huh. You lost dad at what age?
13.
13, he left.
13 he left, yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And then my brother left when I was like 13 and a half.
Your brother?
He joined the Marines.
Uh-huh. You were 13 and a half.
Uh-huh.
Okay. What else?
I think my mom, I lost her when my dad left, at least the person she was.
So at 13, she was there but not there,
Yeah.
emotionally.
Yeah.
Okay. What other losses did you hear? When you were taken from one school to the next, you were midway into a program. What age was that?
15?
15?
15, yeah. Sophomore, yeah.
Uh-huh. So at 15, you had an abrupt transition.
Yes.
As you look at this, how do you feel?
Like I should have been in counseling a long time ago. I feel that I didn't realize it was one after another like that. I guess abandoned.
Abandoned.
Yeah.
Abandoned.
Yeah.
How did you deal with abandonment?
Didn't think about it. And I developed, I guess, trust issues. Isolated myself. And I think I found a joy in solitary activities and avoided pretty much anything that I didn't have to socialize. Like if you have to, you have to. But if you don't have to, why do it? I guess I think I took that attitude throughout life.
Uh-huh. So, but throughout your life, your mother was hovering and you couldn't even go out and play. So the second part was when these happened, you continued the journey of isolating. Do you see that?
Yes.
So in early childhood, there was a pattern of isolating.
Yes.
For what? How many years? Because your mom didn't let you play out in the yard.
Yeah. Till we got cars, we weren't allowed. I wasn't ever allowed to play in the yard. So
how?
16. Yeah.
All the way to 16 years, and then they left. So the second phase of isolation was what?
Well, 13 to 18, I was isolated because I was the only one there, and then my mom worked nights, so I was home by myself all night and not sleeping, and so it wasn't out of the norm to be alone.
Mm-hmm. So you were at home by yourself at the age of 13.
Yes.
And so, what was it like for you?
It was a little scary, I guess, sometimes. I couldn't sleep a lot, and I guess maybe I was a little paranoid. But I mean, my mom worked she was the emergency room lab tech, so she would come home with horror stories every day about just, different things. So I think she wanted us to grow up with like a healthy paranoia, just to be safe. But then I think overnight it got a little scary. It did.
So was it healthy paranoia? What would you call it now?
No, it wasn't healthy. There was nothing healthy about it.
So what would you call it now?
illogical, faulty logic.
Faulty logic.
Or just plain old paranoia.
So it's almost like using these stories to kind of
keep me in. Oh yeah, yes.
hold you hostage with these gory stories.
Yes, and she does that till this day.
So how do you feel when she does it now?
I tell her to stop. I get annoyed instantly. If I say, "Oh, we're going to the beach this weekend," well, a girl just died in Florida because she got eaten by a shark. You know, it's all the time. With everything I say, it's like that. So I've just learned to, okay, thank you, goodbye. So I just hang up.
So from 13 to what? That there was another period of isolation.
Let's 13 to 19, 18. Yeah.
When did you start coming out to socialize and being with other children? Other teens, other adults?
It went straight to adults. I had two friends. We were friends since kindergarten, and they were always around. But at 18, when I joined the Music Teachers Association, and that was that forced socialization. But then I kind of started to enjoy it a little bit, and I joined things that I didn't have to, and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Talk about mother and father. What was their relationship like?
At what point?
At any point. Tell me about their relationship.
They worked a lot when I was a young child. They were both in the Army, and they both held additional jobs in the private sector. So I guess other than vacations, I don't remember much time with them together when I was really young. They would work until vacation time, and then that was family time. So.
So all you remember is them working.
Yes, and one was home. Usually, that's why my mom would work nights, and then my dad worked. So somebody was always home.
Whoever that was home, how did you relate to that?
We'd do homework or educational activities that they called games. If it was my dad, he'd occasionally let us watch television. But it was practice and school.
Okay. So very little play.
We played educational games, like Trivial Pursuit and things like that.
So very little childhood play.
Yes.
How has it impacted you as you look back?
I think it's hard for me to have fun in a daily kind of way. It's hard for me to just not worry and just enjoy things. I'm a little uptight.
A little uptight?
A little uptight.
Give me a healthier assessment. Give me an honest assessment. If on a scale of 1 to 10, where is your uptightness?
Oh, probably a 15.
Okay, way out here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about how that has impacted your uptightness.
Is it making me sick, Dr. Lim? No, yes, I do believe that there is a mental aspect to the vomiting disorder quite a bit. And they didn't send me to behavioral health until I was 21 to try to look at it as that. It was always, you're bulimic. That's always what I got. And I would tell them that it's not, I'm not throwing up food. I'm dry heaving for hours at a time. So I think it's my body's, the doctor said it's my body's way of telling me to take a break. So at least as an adult, that's what.
So mom and dad push hard work. So your dad was gone a lot. Mom was gone a lot.
Yes.
So when they were at home, they were very absent. Emotionally.
Emotionally, yeah.
It was always about doing,
Yes.
working. So how has that environment impacted you?
Well, that's how I live.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Which is what?
Doing.
Because what meaning do you assign doing to doing?
It's my self-worth. Doing makes me, gives me my.
So this is you. So your whole identity is tied into
Accomplishments, success, and
and if you are not doing and accomplishing, what meaning do you give it?
wasted time.
What else?
I guess if I'm worrying about doing something if I'm not doing something. So there's the I don't know, wasted time. That's all I think of.
So if you're not productive, you're wasting away.
Yes.
All right. Tell me more about mom and dad's relationship. How did they get along?
They fought a lot. He drank. According to my mom, he drank a lot. He was a very functional drinker. I don't remember him ever being what I know drunk people to be of now. Not once. According to her, he was always drunk. And and he doesn't deny it now. He doesn't deny that he was drinking all those years, but he wasn't, I guess they yelled, but I never got the brunt of it. So I guess I was a little oblivious to all of it, other than the fact that my mom was constantly telling me about it.
So you were caught in the middle of their tension?
I guess her tension.
Yeah.
I think my dad tried very much to not let the kids see what was going on, but she liked to. This is what your father's like, to really do that. So.
How did you handle that when she complained about your dad to you?
Annoyed. Just didn't want to hear it. Yeah.
So it was constant complaining.
Yes.
If it was not about gory stories, it was about his bad behavior.
Yeah.
So how did it impact your relationship with her?
I think I didn't like her. I didn't want to talk to her. It made me very short with her for a period of years. And I think even now, certain things will set me off a lot quicker than they probably should with it.
How did your dad handle her constant negative bickering?
Well, he left, ultimately. You mean in the day-to-day, how did he handle it?
Yeah.
Well, he drank.
He drank?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What else did he do?
I guess he worked. Maybe that's why he worked so much. He avoided it.
Okay. So there was very little connection as a couple.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a significant person now in your life?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay. What is that like?
What is my relationship with him like?
Like, is there a connection or is there a coexisting relationship?
There's a connection with him. I think he's probably one of the only people I can probably say that with, but I really do feel that there is a connection.
What does that mean?
Well, it's not coexisting because we don't live together. With most people, a relationship is, and I'm not just talking romantically, it's stressful. That's how I look at it. Friendships take time, and that's stress, and it wasn't like that with Matthew. And I think we're good for each other in the sense of my weaknesses are his strengths and things like that. And we, I guess I had an interest. I don't take an interest in very many people. at least previously, so until him.
So what do y'all do to connect?
What do we? Lots of stuff. We take trips and we read books and talk about it. And he's learning to play piano, not from me, but he's learning, and I help him. And then I'm trying to learn how to do sign language because he's training to be a interpreter. Because he grew up with a deaf grandfather, so we tried to take interest in what we like to do.
Okay. What's your relationship with your father like now?
It's good. It really is. We talk daily. He has leukemia, so I think him being a little bit closer to death, it just kind of makes you. But even when he came, it was like, as I got older, I don't want to say I condone him leaving, but I understood it. I understood the need to get out of that house. I really did.
So you can identify with his pain.
Right.
What do you think he was experiencing?
The same things that I was, to a higher degree of just, I think my mom kind of made him feel like he was a failure.
In what ways did she do that to you?
Well, if I'm not constantly doing something, it's not good enough. So.
How does it feel?
I guess it makes me question if it's love, a little bit.
Uh-huh. What hurts now as you talk about it?
I guess it doesn't always feel like she loves me. Or in the past, it hasn't. There have been periods of time where it hasn't.
So you question her constant pushing as not love, but as trying to make her look good?
I guess I never thought of it like that. Yeah, but there, I can see that a little bit, yeah.
That you carry her bag.
Yeah.
When you are productive.
Yeah.
That she's a what?
That she did good, that she succeeded in her job as raising somebody that can succeed.
How does it feel to say that?
I mean, I'm glad that I'm successful. I'm glad I made her proud, but I guess it doesn't feel good to know that maybe that's all that maybe is there.
It's tiny. Okay.
Yeah.
And we hadn't explored these dynamics because, my guess is there's a lot of replication because they learned this from here, and so it's repeated here. Because of the time factor, summarize for me what themes emerged as we did the genogram.
Abandonment, the need to isolate and distract myself.
Abandonment. So a lot of isolation and distracting yourself. Talk about that piece.
Distracting myself mentally so I don't have to think about, I guess, emotion.
Yeah, all the emotional issues.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other learnings from this?
Well, my dad was an alcoholic, so I think I'm just right now putting that one together. I didn't know him well. He was murdered when I was in 6th grade. So, yeah.
What else do you see? The themes of alcoholic, he was murdered, and then there was a gun here from California. And so when you went to high school, the issue of the gun reemerged.
Right, yeah.
You see that history that keeps resurfacing?
Uh-huh.
So a lot of those were not dealt with, the trauma.
Yeah.
Okay. What other themes came up about you and your identity?
Success is important to me, and I think too important.
Too important?
Too important.
Because you give it a lot of value. And if you're not successful, what value do you give your identity?
Failure.
Yeah. What might be a different perspective? Because it's either this or that, success or failure. What might be a different or new identity?
It's that middle portion of it just being okay, of it not being bad or good.
Being okay as
Normal?
As you are.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You don't have to be doing, productive. You don't have to be a machine that churns out things. You are a human being. Okay. What other learnings?
I make myself sick.
I wonder how much of this was a result of the tension here and you being so tied in and enmeshed with your mother. You carried her tension and it came out in this disorder. And now that you've gotten some space from her, that this kind of subsided.
Mm-hmm. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of been swept into under the carpet.
Uh-huh.
I hear a lot of losses that was not dealt with. Losses of your own childhood. You were not allowed to be a child. That's a loss. You were not allowed to mingle with other children, so you didn't find your own childhood. So my guess is play is very new and different for you. I hear a lot of losses in your dad leaving because of the affair. I didn't hear them dealing with it. I just heard he left, he came back. It was like boom, boom. There was no discussion. So it was like trauma happened, but we swept it under the carpet and like there was no blood stains. It was just swept under the carpet. How did you feel when it was just ignored?
I remember feeling like I just was thankful I was out of the house at that point. And I was relieved. I think it was kind of like someone else is around now to take care of Mom, so I didn't feel as much responsibility.
Yeah, somebody is there to suffer the brunt.
So yeah.
So there was so I hear a lot of losses, but not dealt with. So there are lots of unresolved grief issues. I hear a lot of your identity tied into performance. You have to be doing, you have to be accomplishing, you have to be productive. So I wonder if you have how will it impact you if you have a new sense of who you are rather than a doing, productive. How will you look at yourself? So I see these themes that just keep emerging. The lack of freedom. What words would you use to describe a cult family?
Obsessive.
Obsessive?
Yeah.
What else?
Isolated.
Isolation.
Yeah.
What else?
I know what I don't know the word I'm thinking of. Misinformed, I guess.
Misinformed, guarded, protectiveness.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of cultish behavior in a
paranoid. That was the word I was.
Of the outside
Yeah.
society. Okay. How are you feeling now as you see these?
I guess I'm feeling like I have a little bit more responsibility I feel like I should have more responsibility of some of the things that are going on. And that I should have realized all this stuff because I could have pointed all this out in somebody else. But it's, I guess, a little relieved.
Relieved that's
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, thanks. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
Can we stop the?
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
That was 60 minutes on the dot, Dr. Lim.